The flash of blue caught Nora Valentine's eye as she wiped down the cafe table a sleek smartphone, forgotten amidst the morning rush. Its owner had vanished, leaving nothing but a half-empty coffee cup and the lingering scent of expensive cologne. Another day, another abandoned phone, Nora sighed, tucking a strand of auburn hair behind her ear as she slipped the device into her apron pocket. After 4 years of waitressing at the Morning Brew, she'd seen everything from forgotten umbrellas to a once memorable pair of dentures. Lost items were practically part of the job description. The cafe hummed with its usual late-morning energy, college students typing frantically on laptops, business professionals holding whispered meetings over espresso, and the occasional tourist consulting a crumpled city map. Nora navigated between tables with practiced ease, balancing plates of pastries and mugs of coffee. "Found another one?" asked her coworker Trish, nodding toward the phone-shaped bulge in Nora's apron. "Yeah, expensive looking too. I'll turn it into lost and found after my shift." The phone buzzed against her hip, its vibration persistent through the fabric of her apron. Nora pulled it out, hesitating before glancing at the screen. The caller ID read Jasmine with a photo of a smiling woman with impeccable makeup and a power suit. Nora debated answering but decided against it. Instead, she sent the call to voicemail and continued her rounds. By the time her shift ended at 2, the phone had buzzed 14 times. Calls from Jasmine, board meeting, and Marcus Legal lit up the screen with increasing urgency. A text message preview caught her eye. "Ethan, where are you?" "The investors are waiting." Nora felt a pang of sympathy for this Ethan, whoever he was. She took the phone to her manager, Stan, who ran the Morning Brew's modest lost and found system. "I'll log it in," Stan said, reaching for the device. The phone buzzed again in Nora's palm. "Jasmine once more." "Actually," Nora said, pulling the phone back slightly, "I think I should try to get this back to the owner directly. Seems important." Stan shrugged. "Your call." "Just don't go meeting strangers in dark alleys." Nora rolled her eyes. "I'm 27, Stan, not 17. Outside, the October air carried the first real hint of fall. Nora slipped on her jacket and studied the locked phone. She pressed the home button, revealing the time and a sleek, minimalist wallpaper, no personal photos or identifying information. She tried the most obvious passcodes 1234-0000 without success. "Sorry, Ethan," she murmured. "Worth a try." With no way to unlock the phone, Nora decided to wait for it to ring again. She didn't have to wait long. Within minutes, Jasmine was calling back. "Hello," Nora answered tentatively. "Finally, Ethan, where have you been?" The voice was sharp, professional, clearly stressed. "The Westbrook team is threatening to walk if you don't show up in the next half hour. You know how crucial this deal is." "I'm sorry, but this isn't Ethan," Nora explained. "I found his phone at the Morning Brew Cafe. He left it behind this morning." A beat of silence followed. "Oh, I see." The woman's voice shifted instantly from urgent to coolly professional. "This is his executive assistant. He has an extremely important meeting. Is there any way you could bring the phone to him? Valentine Industries would compensate you generously for your time." Valentine Industries. Nora repeated, the coincidence of her own surname not lost on her. "Yes, Ethan Valentine is the CEO. This is a matter of considerable urgency." Nora checked her watch. Her evening plans consisted of leftover pasta and a documentary on marine life. "I could bring it by, I suppose. Where should I go?" Jasmine provided an address in the financial district, about 20 minutes away by subway. "Ask for me at reception, Jasmine Park. I'll make sure you're compensated for your time." "That's not necessary," Nora said automatically. "I'd want someone to do the same for me." Nevertheless, "We appreciate your help." The Valentine Industries headquarters occupied the top 10 floors of a gleaming skyscraper that seemed to pierce the clouds. Nora, in her café uniform partly hidden under her jacket, felt distinctly out of place as she crossed the marble lobby. Her worn sneakers squeaked against the polished floor as she approached the reception desk. "I'm here to see Jasmine Park," she explained to the impeccably dressed receptionist. "I found Ethan Valentine's phone." The receptionist's professional smile warmed a few degrees. "Ah, you're the phone rescuer. Miss Park mentioned you were coming." She pressed a button on her desk. "She'll be right down." Minutes later, the elevator doors opened to reveal a poised woman in her 30s, wearing a tailored navy suit. Her expression brightened when she spotted Nora. "You must be our phone hero," she said, extending a manicured hand. "Jasmine Park, thank you so much for bringing this in." Nora handed over the phone, suddenly aware of her coffee-stained apron peeking out from under her jacket. "Happy to help. I hope I'm not too late for the meeting." "You've saved the day, actually. Mr. Valentine needs contacts from this phone for the Westbrook negotiation." Jasmine reached into her suit pocket and produced an envelope. "As promised, for your trouble." Nora waved it away. "Really, it's fine. Anyone would have done the same." Jasmine tilted her head, studying Nora with new interest. "Not everyone, I assure you. At least let us cover your transportation costs." "It's really not." "Jasmine, did they arrive?" A deep voice called from behind them. Nora turned to see a tall man striding across the lobby. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His dark hair slightly disheveled, as if he'd been running his hands through it. Despite his clearly expensive attire, there was something approachable about him, perhaps the hint of a 5 o'clock shadow or the slight loosening of his tie. "Perfect timing, Ethan," Jasmine said, holding up the phone. "Your rescue has arrived." Ethan Valentine, for it could only be him, stopped in front of them, his intense green eyes focusing first on the phone, then shifting to Nora. Something flickered across his face: relief, curiosity, and something else Nora couldn't quite identify. "You found my phone," he said, his voice softer now. Nora nodded, suddenly feeling self-conscious about her work clothes. "At the morning brew, you left it on the corner table by the window." "The corner table," he repeated, a smile touching his lips. "My usual spot." He accepted the phone from Jasmine, their hands briefly meeting in the exchange. "Thank you. You have no idea how important this is today." "So I gathered from all the calls," Nora replied. "Glad I could help." "I tried to give her compensation, but she refused," Jasmine explained. Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Is that so?" He studied Nora more carefully, taking in her café uniform under the jacket. "At least let me buy you a proper coffee sometime. The morning brew makes a decent cup, but I know a place that might change your life." Before Nora could respond, a group of suit-clad executives emerged from an elevator, speaking in hushed, urgent tones. "Ethan, the Westbrook team is getting restless," one of them called. Ethan nodded in acknowledgement but kept his attention on Nora. "I have to go, but I mean it about that coffee." "What's your name?" Nora Valentine, actually." She smiled at the coincidence. Something sparked in his eyes. "Valentine, no relation, I presume?" "Not unless your family secretly runs a small-town bakery in Ohio alongside the corporate empire." He laughed, a genuine sound that transformed his face from merely handsome to almost boyishly charming. "Ethan Valentine," he said, extending his hand. "Apparently your namesake, if not your relative." His hand was warm against hers, the handshake firm but not overbearing. "Nice to meet you, Ethan." "Good luck with your meeting." "Ethan," Jasmine prompted, gesturing toward the waiting executives. "Right." He released Nora's hand, his gaze lingering. "The morning brew corner table, I'll see you there." As Nora left the building, she felt strangely light-headed. The brief interaction left her with an unexpected sensation, like she'd just auditioned for a part in a play she hadn't known was casting. "Don't be ridiculous," she muttered to herself as she descended into the subway station. He was just being polite. Men like Ethan Valentine don't actually follow up on casual coffee offers to waitresses. The next morning, Nora had almost convinced herself the entire interaction had been more mundane than it felt. She arrived at the morning brew for her early shift, tying her apron with practiced motions as she listened to Trish's weekend plans. "You should come to Kyle's party on Saturday," Trish was saying. "His roommate just broke up with someone and he's cute in that brooding artist way." I don't know, Nora hedged. I'm picking up an extra shift this weekend. All work and no play makes Nora a very single girl, Trish sang, nudging her playfully. The bell above the door chimed and Nora glanced up automatically. Her heart skipped when she recognized the tall figure entering Ethan Valentine, dressed more casually than yesterday in dark jeans, and a light sweater that somehow looked both simple and expensive. His eyes found hers immediately, a smile warming his features as he approached the counter. "Good morning," he said. "I believe I owe you a coffee, but since we're here, I'll settle for buying you one after your shift." Nora blinked, surprised he'd actually shown up. "You remembered. Hard to forget the woman who saved a $50 million deal," he replied. "The Westbrook negotiation went through thanks to you." Trish, wide-eyed, nudged Nora discreetly. "I just found a phone," Nora said, feeling heat rise to her cheeks. Anyone would have returned a locked phone instead of keeping it, brought it directly to its owner during a workday. "Refused payment," he shook his head. "Not everyone, Nora Valentine." The way he said her name with a hint of amusement at their shared surname made her smile despite herself. "I get off at 2, she found herself saying, his smile widened. "Perfect, I'll come back then." He ordered his usual a black coffee with an extra shot and left a tip that made Trish gasp after he'd moved to his corner table. "Who is that?" Trish whispered, staring at Ethan as he set up his laptop. "Just a customer who left his phone yesterday," Nora said, trying to sound casual. "A customer who looks like he stepped out of a magazine and knows your full name," Trish raised an eyebrow. "Spill." "Now." Nora gave her the abbreviated version as they worked, conscious of Ethan's presence in the corner. He stayed for nearly 2 hours, occasionally glancing up to catch her eye with a small smile before returning to his work. At precisely 2 o'clock, Nora emerged from the back room in her street clothes, a simple sweater and jeans that suddenly seemed woefully inadequate compared to Ethan's casual but clearly designer attire. "Ready?" he asked, closing his laptop. "You really don't have to do this," she said, suddenly nervous. "I want to," he replied simply. "Besides, I promised you life-changing coffee." The café he took her to was tucked away on a side street, with no sign except a small coffee cup etched into a brass plate beside the door. Inside, the space was warm and intimate, with leather chairs and small tables spaced generously apart. "This place has ruined me for all other coffee," Ethan explained as they settled at a corner table. "The owner sources beans directly from small farms around the world." A barista approached with a warm smile. "Mr. Valentine, good to see you again." "Thanks, Leo. Whatever your special is today for both of us, please." When the barista left, Nora leaned forward. "They know you by name at the Hidden Coffee Gem." "Of course they do," Ethan laughed. "I invested in this place 3 years ago. Best decision I ever made, both financially and for my caffeine addiction." "You own this cafe," minority stake. "I just helped the owner expand when banks wouldn't take a chance on him." He watched her face carefully. "Does that bother you?" Nora considered the question. "Not bother exactly, it's just different from my world. I'm still paying off student loans for a marine biology degree I haven't used since graduation." "Marine biology?" His eyes lit with genuine interest. "What happened?" The coffees arrived, presented in ceramic cups with intricate designs in the foam. Nora took a sip and nearly sighed aloud at the rich, complex flavor. "Told you," Ethan said, noticing her expression. "Life-changing?" "You weren't exaggerating," she admitted, taking another sip. "About the marine biology, I graduated right when the economy tanked. The research position I'd been promised lost its funding. I took the cafe job temporarily, and 4 years later," she shrugged, "life happened. Do you miss it, the ocean?" The question caught her off guard with its perceptiveness. "Every day," she admitted. "I grew up near Lake Erie, not the same as the ocean, but it sparked something in me. I wanted to study conservation efforts for coral reefs." Ethan listened with surprising intensity as Nora described her abandoned career plans. There was something disarming about his attention, as if her story about tide pools and reef ecosystems was as important as any business deal. "What about you?" she asked eventually. "Were you born into Valentine Industries, or did you build it?" A shadow crossed his face. "My father founded it as a small investment firm 30 years ago. I took over when he died 5 years back and expanded into sustainable development and clean energy." "I'm sorry about your father," Nora said softly. "Thank you." He rotated his coffee cup slowly. "It was unexpected heart attack at 62. I was 28, barely out of business school, suddenly responsible for 200 employees and millions in assets. That's a lot of pressure." He nodded. "It was, still is sometimes, but I believe in what we're doing, creating housing developments with minimal environmental impact, investing in renewable energy solutions." Nora smiled. "The millionaire with a conscience I try to be." He met her eyes directly. "Though I should warn you, most people who know me would say I work too much, care too much about the company, and have the personality of a drill sergeant when deadlines approach." "Is that a warning or a disclaimer?" He grinned. "Both, maybe. Jasmine calls it setting expectations appropriately." They talked for hours, moving from coffee to a light dinner at a nearby restaurant when they realized the afternoon had slipped away. Nora found herself laughing more than she had in months, drawn to Ethan's sharp mind and unexpected warmth. Behind the successful businessman was a man who could discuss everything from classic films to climate science with equal enthusiasm. When they finally parted outside the restaurant, the sky had darkened to deep blue, the first stars appearing above the city lights. "I had a really good time," Nora said, surprised by how much she meant it. "So did I." Ethan hesitated, then added, "I'd like to see you again, properly. Dinner this weekend?" Nora thought about Trish's invitation to the party with the brooding artist. There was no comparison. "I'd like that." He smiled, that transformative smile that reached his eyes. "I'll call you. For real this time, not because someone found my phone." Their first official date led to a second, then a third. Each time Nora discovered new facets of Ethan Valentine. He was driven but thoughtful, ambitious but ethical. He took her to an aquarium on their fourth date, watching with evident pleasure as she excitedly explained the marine ecosystems in each tank. "You light up when you talk about this," he observed as they stood before a massive coral reef exhibit. "It's beautiful to watch." Nora blushed. "Sorry I get carried away." "Don't apologize." He took her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. "I love seeing your passion for it." The moment hung between them, charged with something new. Ethan leaned down slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. Instead, Nora rose slightly on her toes to meet him halfway. Their first kiss was gentle, a question and answer all at once. When they parted, his eyes remained on hers, searching. "I've been wanting to do that since I saw you in that lobby," he admitted, "even with my coffee-stained apron." "Especially with the coffee-stained apron." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "You were so real in that moment, no agenda, no angle. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" As weeks passed, Nora found herself falling for Ethan with alarming speed. Their relationship progressed with an ease that surprised them both. She introduced him to her small apartment, which he entered with genuine interest rather than the judgment she'd feared. He showed her his penthouse overlooking the park, where floor-to-ceiling windows framed the city like a living painting. The first real challenge came when Ethan invited Nora to a charity gala hosted by Valentine Industries. The evening required formal attire and mingling with the city's elite, a far cry from Nora's usual social circles. "I don't belong in that world," she protested when he brought it up. "I wouldn't know how to act or what to say." "You belong with me," Ethan said simply. "The rest is just noise." Despite his reassurance, Nora spent the week leading up to the event in a state of nervous anticipation. She splurged on a midnight blue gown that cost more than her rent, justifying the expense as an investment. If she was going to stand beside Ethan in his world, she needed to at least look the part. The night of the gala, Ethan's reaction to her appearance made the expenditure worthwhile. His eyes widened when she opened her apartment door, his gaze traveling appreciatively from her styled hair to the flowing gown. "You are breathtaking," he said, his voice rough with emotion. The ballroom of the Grand Hotel glittered with crystal chandeliers and the jewelry of affluent attendees. Nora clung to Ethan's arm as they entered, feeling every bit the imposter. Conversations paused briefly as heads turned to observe Ethan Valentine and his new companion. "Ignore them," he murmured against her ear. "They're just curious because I don't usually bring dates to these things." "Great, no pressure at all," she whispered back, making him chuckle. Jasmine approached them first, elegant in a red dress. "Nora, lovely to see you again." Her smile seemed genuine, which Nora found reassuring. "Ethan hasn't stopped talking about you for weeks. Is that so?" Nora glanced at Ethan, who actually looked slightly embarrassed. "Jasmine exaggerates," he said unconvincingly. "I do not. He's been positively insufferable scheduling meetings around coffee dates, smiling at his phone when you text." Jasmine winked at Nora. "It's been a welcome change, honestly." Throughout the evening, Nora met board members, business partners, and competitors, all watching her interactions with Ethan with varying degrees of curiosity. Some were welcoming, others coolly assessing, clearly wondering what a waitress with an unused marine biology degree could offer the CEO of Valentine Industries. "Don't let Marcus intimidate you," Ethan said after a particularly frosty exchange with his chief legal counsel. "He treats everyone like they're on the witness stand." "He's not wrong to question what I'm doing here," Nora admitted as they found a moment alone near the terrace doors. "We come from completely different worlds, Ethan." He turned to face her fully, his expression serious. "Do you know what I thought when I first saw you in that lobby, still in your work uniform, refusing payment for a simple act of kindness?" He took her hands in his. "I thought, there's a person who knows who she is, no pretense, no calculation, just genuine goodness." "It was just a phone," she protested softly. "It was more than that." His thumbs traced circles on her palms. "I spend my days surrounded by people who want something from me, my money, my influence, my connections. You wanted nothing. Do you have any idea how rare that is? How refreshing?" Before she could respond, a commotion near the main entrance interrupted them. A woman's voice, slightly slurred and increasingly loud, rose above the polite murmur of conversation. "Where is he? Where's Ethan?" Ethan stiffened beside her, his expression closing. "Damn it," he muttered. "Not tonight." A striking blonde in a revealing gold dress was making her way through the crowd, ignoring the attempts of hotel staff to intercept her. When she spotted Ethan, her painted lips curved into a triumphant smile. "There you are, darling, playing hard to get as usual." She swayed slightly as she approached. Ethan stepped forward, placing himself slightly in front of Nora. "Vanessa, you weren't invited tonight. You should leave." "Don't be ridiculous. I'm always invited." Her gaze shifted to Nora, eyes narrowing. "Who's this, your latest charity case?" Nora felt heat rise to her cheeks, but Ethan's voice cut through her embarrassment. "That's enough, Vanessa." His tone was steel wrapped in velvet. "This is Nora Valentine, my girlfriend, and you're making a scene." The woman Vanessa looked genuinely shocked. "Girlfriend? You can't be serious." She laughed, a brittle sound. "What happened to I'm focusing on the company, not relationships?" Jasmine appeared beside them, along with a discreet security officer. "Miss Crawford, your car is waiting," she said smoothly. "Allow me to escort you out." "Fine," Vanessa spat, casting a final glance at Nora. "Enjoy it while it lasts, honey. He'll get bored eventually, he always does." She allowed herself to be led away, maintaining what dignity she could muster. A tense silence followed her departure. Nora could feel curious gazes from all directions. "I'm sorry about that," Ethan said quietly. "Vanessa is an ex who never quite accepted the ex part." "Who is she?" Nora asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "The daughter of my father's business partner. We dated briefly 2 years ago." He ran a hand through his hair. "It wasn't serious, at least not for me. She had other ideas. Nora nodded, processing this glimpse into Ethan's past. She seemed to think you have a pattern. His jaw tightened. Vanessa likes to rewrite history to suit her narrative. Before you, I hadn't dated anyone seriously in years. I was focused on the company. And now, his expression softened as he looked at her. Now I'm focused on you, on us. The incident cast a shadow over the evening despite Ethan's attempts to move past it. Nora found herself studying the faces around them, wondering how many were judging her, finding her lacking compared to women like Vanessa, women who understood this world of wealth and privilege. When they left the gala, the drive back to Nora's apartment was quiet. Ethan reached across the car to take her hand. "Talk to me," he said softly. "What are you thinking?" Nora stared out at the city lights. "I'm thinking that maybe Vanessa was right about me being out of place in your world." "Nora, no, listen," she turned to face him. "You live in a penthouse. I have a studio apartment with a leaky faucet. You run a multi-million-dollar company. I serve coffee. These aren't small differences, Ethan." "Do they matter?" he challenged. "Does any of that change how we feel about each other? Maybe not now, but eventually," she sighed. "I saw how some of those people looked at me tonight, like I was a curiosity. The waitress who caught the CEO's attention." Ethan pulled the car over, turning in his seat to face her fully. "I don't care what they think. I care about you, the woman who loves the ocean, who returns lost phones, who makes me laugh more in one day than I have in years. It's not that simple. It can be." He took her hands. "What if I could show you that our worlds aren't as far apart as you think?" The following Monday, Nora arrived at the morning brew to find Ethan waiting outside before opening hours, a large envelope in his hands. "This is becoming a habit," she said, smiling despite her confusion. "Don't you have a company to run?" "I do. And part of running it well is recognizing opportunities." He handed her the envelope. "Open it." Inside, Nora found detailed plans for a marine conservation initiative of Valentine Industries partnership with the city's Oceanographic Institute to restore local coastal ecosystems and educate the public about marine preservation. "What is this?" she asked, scanning the documents. "A project I've been considering for months," Ethan explained. "Valentine Industries is expanding our environmental portfolio. We need someone with passion and expertise to liaise with the scientific community, someone who understands both the science and its importance." Nora looked up sharply. "You're offering me a job." "I'm offering you an opportunity to use the degree you worked so hard for." His expression was earnest. "This isn't charity or nepotism, Nora. I've seen how your eyes light up when you talk about marine conservation. The project needs someone with that passion." "Ethan, I haven't worked in the field in years. My knowledge is outdated. The Institute will provide specialized training. You have the foundation, the understanding, and the commitment." He touched her cheek gently. "You don't have to accept. But don't refuse because you think you don't belong in my world. Create your own space in it instead." Nora stared at the proposal, possibilities unfurling in her mind. "I need time to think about this." "Take all the time you need. The position will be there when you're ready." Over the next week, Nora researched the Institute, reviewed her old textbooks, and had long conversations with Ethan about the project's scope. The more she learned, the more excited she became about the potential impact of the conservation initiative. "I want to do this," she told him finally over dinner at his penthouse. "But I need to know it's legitimate, that I'm being considered on merit, not because I'm dating the boss." Ethan smiled. "I thought you might say that, which is why your interview is with the Institute's director, not me. Valentine Industries is funding the project, but the scientific oversight is independent." The interview, conducted by a renowned marine biologist, was both terrifying and exhilarating. Nora's passion for conservation shone through her technical rustiness, and her practical questions impressed the director. "Your boyfriend was right about you," Dr. Meredith Jameson said as they concluded. "You have the perfect combination of scientific understanding and communication skills for this role." Nora raised an eyebrow. Ethan discussed me with you. He mentioned finding someone with a marine biology background who could translate complex conservation issues for the public and policymakers. Dr. Jameson smiled. He didn't tell me you were dating until after I reviewed your resume and expressed interest. He was quite insistent about maintaining objectivity. 2 days later, Nora received the official offer. The salary was more than double what she made at the café, with benefits that included continuing education opportunities. She gave her notice to Stan, who congratulated her with genuine warmth. "Always knew you were meant for bigger things than serving coffee," he said, patting her shoulder. "Though we'll miss you around here." As Nora transitioned into her new role, she and Ethan found a comfortable rhythm together. Her work at the Institute gave her purpose and independence, while their relationship deepened with each passing month. Ethan supported her career without overshadowing it, proud of her growing reputation in conservation circles. 6 months after the gala incident, Ethan took Nora on a weekend trip to the coast. They walked along the beach at sunset, discussing the conservation project's early successes. "The city council approved the expanded protection zone," Nora said excitedly. "That's going to make a huge difference for the local marine habitat. Congratulations." Ethan squeezed her hand. "Your presentation last month helped convince them." "It's still surreal sometimes," she admitted. "A year ago, I was serving coffee and dreaming about the ocean. Now I'm helping protect it." They reached a small cove where Ethan had arranged a private dinner on the sand. Candles in hurricane lamps illuminated a table set with fine china, an incongruous but magical sight against the natural backdrop. "What's all this?" Nora asked, taking in the romantic setting. "I wanted tonight to be special." Ethan led her to the table, his expression both tender and nervous, an unusual combination for him. "Do you remember the day we met? Of course, you left your phone at the café. Best mistake I ever made," he smiled. "That morning, I was distracted because the Westbrook deal was falling apart. I thought it was the most important thing happening that day." He shook his head. "I had no idea my entire life was about to change because I forgot my phone on a café table." Nora felt her heart quicken as Ethan took both her hands in his. "Nora Valentine," he said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "You walked into my life with a lost phone and found a lost man instead. Before you, I was all ambition and no purpose. You showed me what really matters." He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small velvet box. Nora's breath caught as he knelt on one knee in the sand. "I don't want to waste another day without knowing you'll be by my side," he continued, opening the box to reveal a stunning sapphire ring surrounded by diamonds. "Will you marry me?" Tears sprang to Nora's eyes as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I will." Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger, a perfect fit, and rose to kiss her. The ocean waves provided a gentle soundtrack to their embrace, salt air mingling with the scent of candles and possibility. "I love you," he murmured against her lips. "More than I thought possible." "I love you too," she replied. "Enough to overlook your terrible phone security practices," he laughed, pulling her close. "Best security breach of my life." 1 year later, they married in a ceremony that blended their worlds, seamlessly elegant without being ostentatious, meaningful rather than showy. Jasmine served as Nora's maid of honor, while Trish from the café gave a toast that had everyone laughing about how it all began with a forgotten phone. The Valentine Marine Conservation Initiative expanded under Nora's guidance, becoming one of Valentine Industries' most successful community projects. Together, Ethan and Nora built a life that honored both their passions, his for sustainable development, hers for ocean preservation. On their first anniversary, Ethan presented Nora with a special gift, the phone she had found that day at the morning brew, now framed in a shadow box with a simple inscription. "To the woman who returned my phone and captured my heart. Some things are meant to be lost so that something greater can be found. All my love, Ethan." Nora hung it in their home office, A daily reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary love stories begin with the most ordinary moments, like finding a phone left behind at a café, completely unaware that its millionaire owner would soon fall irrevocably in love with her.